Welcome everyone. I am Samuel Champoux from Gestisoft. I will be presenting you the new Business Central 2025 Wave 1 version of Business Central. Um, so first, before we go into all the features, I wanted to talk about the new update schedule. So I will show you this slide. So the new update schedule, we made changes to when we do the updates, and that is why you didn't receive anything yet to test for the new version 26. So usually we create sandboxes for each client, and we send you an email with all the details of if there are special things to test and features to pay attention to, and then a link to the sandbox so that you can make some tests. And in the past, we did that in April for the wave 1 and in October for the wave 2. But now Microsoft changed the update schedule and we have 5 months to do the update. And since there are sometimes some issues in earlier versions, we opted to go directly to the second minor version, which means that for example, this wave, that would mean that the sandbox creation would be in mid-June. So you will receive in a few weeks your emails to test the sandboxes. And then you have 2.5 months to do the test and let us know if there's anything wrong, because the update deadline is end of August, end of the summer. If you see some features or things that you absolutely need right now, you can let us know and we can do the update before that. So it's always possible to do it before. And we'll be doing that from now on for each wave. So for the second wave of this year, this means that the official release is in October, but you wouldn't get anything from us until mid-December. And then you would have two and a half, 2.5 months to do the test with a deadline at the end of February. And anytime you have questions or you want to have an update earlier, you can let us know and we'll do that for you. You can just send a ticket in our support portal or via email and we'll look it up. Another thing I wanted to say about this, so when we will do the update at the end of August, we will update to the minor version that you tested, so the V2. And then we won't do any minor updates until the next wave. So what this means is that essentially you will have only 2 updates per year, which will be the major 0.2 version each time. End of August and end of February, you would have the version 0.2 and then keep it until the next wave. So we did this change because sometimes, so minor versions are supposed to be only bug fixes and really small changes, but we've seen some issues in the past, I would say, where some minor version came with some bugs and things that changed that we didn't have really enough time to prepare for. So now that means that the actual version of your Business Central won't change unless you do the test, because you will have testing to do for all the major version and you won't have to do any testing for minor version because they won't be done. We think this will make the system more stable, and with less updates, it's going to be less of a risk to have things change and without tests. If you have problems, we can still do updates. Say you have a problem with a function and there's an update, a minor update that fixes that. We will do the update for you. That's not a problem. We can always do the updates anyway. Or if there's a feature that comes out in a later minor version and you absolutely want it, you can let us know and we'll update to that version. So if you have any question for all of that, do not hesitate to contact us. We will help you. And yeah, see you in June for the test for this version of Business Central. So let's start with the features. So I have a selection of mainly features that I think are going to be useful for most customers. There are a lot of new features in this wave that are in production orders, manufacturing. So if you don't do manufacturing, there's probably almost 50% of what I will be presenting that won't apply to you, but it's always nice to see that they are adding new features in other modules also. If you want the full list, you can go to that link here and you will get the full list. It also includes like developer tools and things like that that you don't really need. But if you are curious to see, or if you have developers, internal developers, then you can send them that link and they can see what's new there. So let's start. First, we are now able to edit price lists in Excel. So before that, we could only export the prices. We couldn't edit in Excel. So they added that capability. Next, we have the improved troubleshooting option for cost adjustments. So when you do transactions in inventory, there are transactions done for cost adjustments. Most of the time, we use the automatic cost adjustment. There are also a few customers that are using a job queue that does it at night. So this new page is actually made to give they do some checks in all that and they can let you know if there are issues. So this can be useful if you want to follow more closely what's happening with cost adjustment. So they added a lot of features there, something that you can test and see if it gives you any good hints. They added a new feature with Copilot where you can ask for suggestions for some fields. So here, for example, it's letting us know that 6,000 is the usual credit limit for customers. So it auto-populates that field. It's taking a few sources for the data for that. It's looking at other records of the same type. And they were saying that at some point they were also going to be going out on the internet to find like relevant values for the fields. So something that you can test. And as always, since it's coming from Copilot, you always have to review because it's still, you have to approve what it's suggesting. Automate payable processes. So this one is not released yet. It should be released later this summer. So we add in the past the sales order agent, and now they are adding a payables agent. So this one is going to be able to read PDFs, do OCR, create purchase invoices, and do things like that. So agents are made with multiple AI tools so that are working together to actually do actions in the system. So it's not just answering questions or things like that. It's actually doing actions in the system. So this is quite nice. But they are still in the first version of that. So they are doing very basic things. So if you are already using OCR tools like Continua and things like that, I think it will take some time before it comes near what Continua can do or replace it or be better, I would say. But nice to know that they are working on that natively in BC. Next, we have the ability to check the purchase amounts on documents. So if you activate that checkbox in the purchase setup, you will have new fields on purchase invoices where you can input the actual amount of the invoice, and then you enter the lines. And if the amount of the lines doesn't fit what you entered in the header, then you won't be able to post, and an error message will be displayed. Next, we have enhanced analytics for inventory. So they added a few fields to some entries pages so that you are able to do better analysis. They also added a new query. So this query is for inventory by location analysis. You can you can do pivot tables with that and see what inventory you have where. You can filter by location, by town, by country, by anything you have in the location card almost. This can be nice. You can, so this one is not released yet, but this will be powerful. So when you are in analysis mode and you are trying to do pivot tables and things like that, you are right now limited to the fields that are available in the list that you are currently viewing, but they will add the ability to add columns from other related tables to the record that you are listing. So say for example, this one is you can get the contact name from the contact number. So this is pretty nice. Next, they added a few more capabilities in the financial reporting. If you are using financial reporting the module in BC to do your financial analysis and statements, then there are a few more features that you can use to help you with that. You can now adjust the fact box width. So if you wanted to take less space or more space, you can just drag the line that's between the list and the fact box, and it will take less or more space. They will add, because this one is not released yet, they will add new enhanced analytics for manufacturing. So they will be adding Excel reports, Excel layouts. They will also be removing some existing reports that are going to be replaced with new Excel layout reports. So if you are using manufacturing reports, there may be some change there in 2027. So this one I think would be available later. So this is one example where if you really want to have this feature when it comes out, you will have to ask us, because it will probably come in like V3 or 4 update later this summer. We will need to do the update manually for that. Allow multiple people to post inventory at the same time. They have added an option so that more people can post inventory at the same time. I'm not sure at what scale this improves performance, but they did that to improve performance for businesses that post a lot of inventory entries. And since the GL postings are sequential, and say you are using automatic cost adjustments, then it's going to do some GL postings. So this may not have the biggest effect, but yeah, they added that. So I hope it helps. Receive project items with receipt or putaways. So if you have projects and purchase orders linked to them, you can now receive them with receipts or putaways, and it will automatically do the write-off on the project. So this is quite nice if you are using receipts for projects. Cancel production orders that have consumption. So this one is quite a big one. So in the past, when you add the consumption, you had to finish the order. If you wanted to cancel it, you had to finish the order and then adjust out the output that you did. But now you have an option to be able to reverse all those transactions so that you can cancel the production order. And coming with that, they added a new option that allows you to finish production orders with no output. So what this does is that anything that's already in the WIP will be written off to inventory adjustment accounts. So automatically, you don't have to do it manually. Reopen finished production orders. This looked really cool, but the restrictions are quite big, meaning that you cannot reopen finished production orders if they have output. So you can only finish production orders that don't have output. So production orders that were closed using the feature here that allows to finish production orders without output. So you really have to. So it's only in specific scenarios that we'll be able to use that, unfortunately, for now. Change production order statuses in bulk. So if you are in the list of production orders, you can select multiple lines and change the status at the same time. Edit the routing link code. So before you couldn't change it, and now they added a field so that you can change it in actual production order routings. Enable overpicking for production orders. So for each item that you want to do overpicking for, you need to activate the feature on the item itself. So what this allows you to do is, say you want to pick a full bag of something, you can bring the whole thing to the production. So you actually put more in the quantity on the pick, and it will bring everything. And then you have to use the movement worksheet to bring all of that back to inventory. This can be useful if you handle like full pallets or full bags of things. So before that, you would have had to pick only the quantity you needed on production and do return to inventory your quantity without any real transaction in the system. So this is a nice upgrade. Achieve greater accuracy in manufacturing costing. So if you are using standard cost, they are adding a variance in locations to the stock keeping units so that you can have specific costs for that. And then they also added the ability to add non-inventory items in production cost. So this lets you have non-inventory items in your BOM. So this is quite nice. And they added some fields in the cost shares so that you can see those new costs there. Warehouse pick for manual flushing methods. So if you are using manual flush, they added an option so that you are not needed to do a pick for that. And what's a little bit confusing about this new feature is that it adds actually an option to pick. So the option is pick plus manual, but pick plus manual is actually the manual option that we have today. So if you do the update, the new feature of picking, of not requiring pick for manual flushing is activated, and everything in the system that's manual right now and is using picks is going to be changed with a data upgrade to pick plus manual. So this is something that you have to activate in the feature management, and it changes how the manual flushing method behaves. So you have to pay attention if someone activates that, they have to let everyone know because it changes how the manual flushing method works. Block items or variants from production output. So you can block output for specific items. So if you want one production item to not be able to be output for any reason, say you are reviewing the BOM, you don't want anyone to do outputs before that or things like that. So you can do that now. And it's also working on variants. Handle production output with warehouse putaways. So now if you are doing production output, you can use warehouse handling with putaways to put that stock back into inventory. You have to activate it on the location card. And the last one is you can use edit in Excel on output, consumption, and item journals. So you can now input those journals with the edit in Excel function. This can be useful for big loads or things like that. And it's simpler than using config packs. So this is quite nice. Let's hope it works well. If you have any questions, just let us know with the portal. You can ask anything by email and we will answer your questions. Thank you very much. Have a good day.